I've been swimming almost every day in Loleia bikinis and I've just felt like making this video. I don't see too many in-depth reviews on bikini brands and I wanted to put one out there for Loleia, which I think makes incredible swimwear that appeals to me. Notice that I specified that the swimwear appeals to me. Everybody has their own preferences, of course. If you're looking for swimwear with moderate to full coverage, there's no need to continue watching this video. Personally, I love skimpy bikinis like the ones you see in pictures of Ibiza in Brazil in the 1970s. And like the founder of Loleia, Leia Perini, I'm also a huge fan of the colors and prints that you saw in 90s swimwear, and also that high-cut leg that was kind of ubiquitous for that era. I'm pretty active when I'm in the water, so I need high-quality swimwear in order to feel comfortable. While I want skimpy, I don't want my swimsuit to fall off my body or to show something that I don't want to show. When I refer to quality, the criteria I'm specifying are that the swimsuits are not see-through when I get in the water, they have to stay on my body while I'm swimming or being tossed around in the waves, and they won't stretch out after a handful of wears. I want to be able to wear these for several summers, and the last criterion isn't super high priority for me, but it would be preferable if the prints didn't fade after a few wears. I know pricing can be controversial, so I won't belabor this too much. I myself am willing to pay a certain amount to get the design, cut, and quality that I'm looking for. Unfortunately, I haven't found something that ticks all the boxes at lower price points. If you know of something, please share in the comments. Some other disclaimers, the pricing I reference on the slide are the non-sale prices, and I'm shopping from the US. The other brands I have listed ship within the US, so there are no tariffs. The exceptions would be Triangle and Loleia. I think Triangle still ships outside the US, but it looks like you're only being charged state tax. Once Trump ended the de minimis exemption and instated import duties, buying outside the US became a hard pill to swallow, especially because there are certain things that are just not produced or easily found in the US, or if they are made here, they're not made well. I think Australians know how to make casual swimwear, certainly better than American companies. This is a roundup of trending brands I see on social media that offer pieces that share my design aesthetic. As you can see, most of the other brands I've window shopped or actually purchased things from have pricing that is pretty on par with Loleia Swim. Triangle and Raisa are at the lower end of the pricing range. I don't personally like Triangle. I find their website really overwhelming to shop on, and the one bikini I have purchased from them a few years ago, it was made of a very soft fabric and they used mesh lining that allowed sand to sit inside the bikini, and you could never get rid of all the sand, so it made it look as if the bikini was discolored. I'm very curious about Raisa, which is priced at the lower end of the selection here, but my size is currently sold out in the print that I want. Loleia is just a notch above Triangle and Raisa in pricing. It's just, unfortunately, Loleia being an Aussie brand with an Indonesian production team, that means that you will be charged a duty for shopping here if you're shopping from the US. It looks like as of June 2026, the tariff duty charged is 34.9% and shipping is $25 unless you spend over a certain amount, which would qualify your order for free shipping. I don't know how the 34.9% tariff is calculated because the import stacking and everything, the rules are quite convoluted. I've asked Loleia to break it down and I'm waiting for a response. What may be of interest to people still window shopping is that many of the pieces are put on sale after a month or two following the new collection release date, and they run sales fairly frequently so that a single bikini with tariff and shipping would run closer to about $130 to $150, sometimes less, which is on par with Triangle once you add in sales tax and their $20 shipping fee. Moving on to what styles Loleia offers. They have two string top styles. The retro, which is a classic triangle where you tie the strings around your back and your neck. This is the only style I have purchased from Loleia. I have a small chest and the extra small fits me very well. You can scrunch the triangle if you want less coverage and it doesn't look weird. I find sometimes brands use too much material or they make the triangle too big. So when you scrunch it up, it just looks kind of weird because there's so much fabric there. There's the shoulder top, which is kind of like a bralette triangle style where you have a single tie in the back. There are two bandeau styles. The retro bandeau has underwire and removable straps that you tie around your neck. The middle photo illustrates what it looks like without the straps. The website specifies that they improved the fit of the retro bandeau in more recent collections, so it's nice to know that they continue to work to improve their designs and fit. The other bandeau has a twist detail in the front, and it also comes with removable straps. When it comes to the bottoms, they are all pretty cheeky to varying degrees. You have a couple of cuts inspired by the 80s and 90s. One is called the scrunchie, which has a high leg, but the front doesn't sit as high as the other vintage-inspired cut, the 90s. This one sits higher on the front and has thinner side straps. I have the 90s in an extra small, and I love the way it looks and it feels very secure on my body. There are two styles that kind of allow you to change the amount of coverage that you want because you can ruche them. This style always ends up being wedged in my crack, but it doesn't feel uncomfortable and I think it still looks good. One is aptly called the ruched bottoms, which has this thicker strap around the waist. And then you have the string bottoms. These I have in an extra small. I always remove one of the strings and thread the remaining string through the bikini, so I only have to tie it on one side. This type of style I have purchased from other brands, including Bella Anna and Swim. I think because of the softness of the fabric used by the other brands, I sometimes have this issue where when I get out of the water and sit down, the front of the bikini will hang away from my pelvis, so I have to make sure to push the fabric against my body to prevent unwanted exposure. I usually don't have this issue with the bottoms from Loleia, and when it does happen, it's not as severe. Another bottom where you have ties is the tie side, which sits a little bit lower in the front and back compared to the string bottoms. You can still tie the strings so they are sitting as high as the string bottoms if that's your preference, like it is mine. Or you can tie them so they are more at your hips as seen on the model. I really like these. They feel just as secure as the 90s. The one thing I will say about the string bikini bottoms, in my experience, if you want to be extra secure, you have to double tie them because the fabric is smooth and slightly thicker than straps I found in other bikinis, so they're easy to undo or get loose if you only tie them once. They also offer a high-cut, high-waisted thong bikini, as well as the biddy thong, which has non-adjustable string straps. I have this one in an extra small, in the solid shimmer fabric. I find that this feels the least secure. I have to hold on to the bottoms when I'm getting out of the water to make sure that I'm not exposing anything I don't want to expose, and I feel like strong waves could easily wash these off of me. I think this is largely because the fabric is just a little bit softer and stretchier than the printed fabric that they use, so the length of the string actually kind of stretches out once the bikini is wet. I wouldn't buy this one again, even though I love the way that it looks. So just to recap, when it comes to design regarding prints, colors, and cut, Loleia gets a 5-star rating from me. I think Leia Perini, the founder of Loleia, and I share the same bikini design aesthetic, so in this category, Loleia hits it out of the park. For discussing quality, I'm going to go through each criterion one by one. The bikinis from Loleia are definitely totally opaque. Nothing shows through the fabric when wet. I'm comparing a piece from Loleia with a piece from Mirapelle. The lining that Loleia uses for their printed bikinis is just slightly more lightweight than the outer fabric. Mirapelle uses a thin mesh like many other brands do as well. I really hate the mesh lining because it allows sand to get trapped inside, especially as the mesh stretches out with wear. This is a comparison when the bikinis are wet. As you can see, the outer fabric is very visible on the lining side in the Mirapelle bikini, but just slightly so with Loleia. All of the printed bikinis I have from Loleia have a white lining. This makes sense to me because I do think the white backing helps the colors pop more when wet. I think some of their other printed bikinis, the darker prints usually have different colored lining. A lot of their solids are made with what is described on the website as a solid shimmer nylon. These are double lined with the same fabric. They feel a touch softer than the printed fabric. As a personal preference, I maintain body hair, and the fabrics used by Loleia have a tight enough weave where hair is not going to poke through like the way mosquito proboscides poke out of the net in this video taken by a malaria researcher. I do have this issue with really soft fabrics like the one used by Mirapelle. In summary, Loleia's fabric choices for the outer and lining is great. As I said earlier, I like to swim laps whether I'm at the pool or at the beach, and I can do this for hours, so I want my swimsuits to feel very secure. I'm not ranking the tops because I only have one style from them, and besides just double knotting the strings, I don't have any issue with the tops. The 90s bottoms feel the most secure. A step down from that would be the side tie and the string in that order. Finally, the biddy thong I felt the least secure about, and because of that, I won't be buying the style again. The biddy thong fabric is softer and stretchier than the printed fabric, as you can see in the videos on the right, and because of that, I don't think it holds up well once it's wet. When it comes to stretching out, these haven't gotten baggy on me. What I mean by that is the fabric and or elastic stretching out after drying so that the next time you put them on, they don't feel as secure. I would say I've worn some of my Loleia bikinis as much as my Mirapelle bikinis, and the Loleia ones are holding up much better. I'm looking into having the elastic replaced on my Mirapelle bikinis so I can keep wearing them comfortably. I expect the fabric might outlast the elastic in the Loleia bikinis, so I'm also prepared to replace the elastic for those when the time comes. It hasn't become an issue yet, and I expect it'll take a few summers to get there. When it comes to color fastness, I have not observed significant fading, if any at all. I rinse these in cold water and hang them to dry away from the sun. This isn't the big priority issue for me anyways, and if it happens, it happens. Some of my bikinis from Mirapelle are very faded, but they look much more vibrant once the fabric is wet. When I'm buying something online that's going to be hard to exchange or return, the thing that keeps me hemming and hawing at checkout is getting the sizing right. My recommendations are to get the bottoms with the string ties because those are adjustable and the elastic stretching out is less of an issue, especially if your priority is to keep wearing your bikinis for the long haul. If the string ties are not your preferred style, Loleia does have extremely useful size charts with exact measurements for all the pieces that they offer. You can find the charts easily. They're linked at the bottom of the main page and also linked on each product page. I find the bikinis true to size. My personal preference is to always size down if I'm between sizes based on the measurements or the size chart because I like my suits to be glued onto my body if possible. You might prefer to size up because you prioritize coverage. You can always compare the given measurements to bottoms you already have or even your underwear to get an idea of sizing. Though just note, if you're comparing the measurements with your underwear, the bikini fabric will of course be thicker and more compressive. One thing that isn't provided in the size charts are measurements for the width of the bikini where coverage matters most for most of us. Of the bottoms I have, the 90s and the string bottoms provide the most coverage. It's about 2 5/8 inches wide. That's followed by the side tie with almost 2 inches, and finally, of course, the biddy thong has the least amount of coverage. I have feedback for the Loleia team. I love the string bottoms, but I think they would look even better if the length was shortened by an inch. Most of us aren't as tall as the model, so likely these bottoms will hit higher on us, and you can see on some of the models the bottoms sit quite high already. This might also improve the issue I have sometimes of the fabric kind of falling away from the pelvis once it's wet and I'm sitting down. For the biddy thong, I would shorten the strings if the fabric used is the softer shimmer nylon or even add adjustable side ties. My last suggestion is to add a filter for sizing when browsing. It would greatly improve my shopping experience to only look at things that are available in my sizing. I hate clicking on a bunch of links only to see that my size has already sold out. Alright, that's it. I hope this was helpful if you are window shopping for bikinis and we share the same aesthetic, or if you are on the fence about Loleia. As I was making this PowerPoint, I saw a promotional email from Loleia stating that they are further discounting their sale items by 20%. So if it's something that you've been wanting to try, it's a great time to grab a bikini for the summer.